I'm sweaty and I'm mad.
I'm sorry.
Me too. There. Okay. Yeah. Hallelujah.
Which one? I need to turn my volume up a little bit. I'm
One. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, I can hear you. But I could hear you before, so.
Me adjusting my volume.
I'm like, yeah,
and
I
my
can hear
headphones didn't really do anything for you.
So. No. Okay, guys. Fucking. Yeah, they might see it.
Yeah, they might see behind the curtain. It'll ruin the magic.
This has been a hot mess. So.
Literally hot.
It's so hot in this room. It's like the air just doesn't work in this room only, of course. I mean, we're so thankful to have the room, but now I'm like, I like melt. Like if it's
like
remotely,
ice cream.
Yeah.
Cold.
Like, I literally am just like deflated. Like to the point that I forgot what we were talking about because all I could concentrate on was how like my face was just like, bitch. So anyway, so Barbie and Oppenheimer are out. And I've been waiting to tell you this joke.
Oh God.
That is really bad, but like you know how I told you the other joke off camera about the puzzle piece?
Yes.
I feel like it's in that realm. So
okay, it wasn't bad.
Don't play footsies with me.
Your leg is in my leg's way. Okay, we're good.
Okay. Like I feel like that joke was like, I honestly feel like it was funny. But I mean, some people I think would just want to be offended by it rather than like, it's also like science and that's why it's funny. This one I feel is similar. So Travis sent me this thing about Barbie and it was some meme. And then it was like Barbie was released actually for the very, very, very first time, like the National Toy Convention in Japan. And my response was, oh my gosh, like how much more in common could Barbie and Oppenheimer have? Because the very first time that the atomic bomb was also put on public display was also in Japan. And I'm like, is that bad? Or is that funny?
Let's talk about Hitler.
That'll make sense later.
I'm immaculately conceived.
I don't know what to do.
I swear I'm not stupid.
Take it or leave it. Sometimes you just want to leave it.
If I gotta borrow my mom's underwear, I'm borrowing her underwear.
You just, yeah.
Misa likes the Jar Jar Binks.
I'm not gonna edit it out.
Oh no.
I don't know. Like I think I'm just pretty great. Just saying on the planet.
Suck.
Why are you saying it with a question mark?
Clap, bitch.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Action.
I mean, I think it's funny.
Is that something that probably we won't put in this episode?
I think you can leave it in. I'm not offended by it, but I'm also not Japanese, so.
Okay, but if you are Japanese, like it's still, okay. It's a joke. And it's also not a lie.
The thing is, like, the reason people get offended by jokes at the core is because they think it is something too serious to make a joke about, right? Which I disagree completely. I think you can make a joke about anything. Now, whether the joke lands, you know, or people find it funny, like in order to be able to make a joke about anything, it has to be funny, right?
Yeah.
So when people get offended, it's just because they think it's something that should be off limits and you shouldn't make a joke about because it's too serious, which is the point of humor, is to make things not serious.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of things people get offended by when you make jokes about them, and I think that they're funny. So I mean, I think you can make a joke about anything.
Some of it is also like the shock value. So it's like some of it is like, but to me with that joke, I thought it was funny because it's also technically not a lie. Technically it is true, but putting it in that wording clearly is what makes it a joke. So I'm like,
well, the Andrew Schultz, the comedian who I think is hysterical, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
He said, I think he was doing some crowd work once, and so he's talking to this person in the crowd, and he was like, oh, were you like offended by that joke? You know, I'm sorry you were offended by it, but he's like, you know, it's when, and she said, oh, it's not funny. You shouldn't make jokes about that. I think it was something about like Epstein. I think when that was going on, Epstein's Island, a couple years ago.
But like, and there's endless jokes about that.
And so, you know, he's like, you know, but when people say, you know, you that's not funny, or you can't make a joke about that. You can't say anything about that. He's like, it's kind of like my job to be like, but when you think about it,
Exactly.
like, and that's the whole, and like, it was very funny in the moment watching it, but it, to me, that's kind of like the embodiment of like, it's actually true about what a comedian, or even just people making jokes, like, that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
When people say you can't say that, or you can't make a joke about that, it's like, or
it's
that's
like,
not funny.
Yes, it is.
But when you think about it in this certain context,
it is funny.
It is funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you can joke about pretty much anything, and I think that if you don't think it's funny, that's okay. And I think if you get offended, that's okay to me. But when I told that joke at work, and my boss was like, only you would even connect that
Make
way.
the connection. Yeah, I wouldn't have.
And I'm like,
that's definitely one of those things where it's like it's like in the moment funny, because you know some people are like stand-up comedian funny, prepared jokes funny, and some people are like in person, in the moment, like funny, off the cuff funny. Mm-hmm. I think we're both off the cuff funny.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, I feel like in another life I probably could have been stand-up, maybe.
You fit the profile,
but I do think I'm more off the cuff funny. I think that I'm more like just. If I just let whatever enters my brain out, I think I'm hysterical. It's the whole camera is what I'm like. Like that joke, at first I was like, I probably won't say that because someone's going to get mad. Now I'm like, okay, who give a fuck? Like, and what? Mm-hmm. Like people make jokes about 9/11 every single day. They make jokes about pretty much anything, but that's too far. I mean, come on. Let's just be fucking for real.
Yeah.
It's not that deep. It was, but it's a joke. Anyway, so that was my situation that I was holding on to. My next story I was holding on to. I was like, oh, I gotta tell Anna.
Well, I think that if you allow a joke like that I think if you're going to criticize it and be like, well, that she clearly doesn't understand the severity of the atomic bomb and Hiroshima and the whole thing. And it's like, I think that you have a problem. If you think about somebody making a joke about something horrific, if you think that means that they don't care, or that they were like they don't take it seriously, or know that it was like a serious thing, I think that says more about you than it is about that person. Yeah. It's like you are allowed to be a complex individual with complex thoughts and emotions and feelings. So you're allowed to hold multiple viewpoints. You're allowed to think that something is a tragic event in human history, one of the worst things that's ever happened. Yeah. Horrible. And you're also allowed to make a joke about it.
Yeah. It's like that's it. But I don't know. The world's lost its fucking mind. Like, everyone's lost their mind.
Everyone.
I mean, you were telling me, so I don't know really what this controversy is about Troye Sivan's music video. You just showed me some of it, and I'm into the song.
Yeah. I did the rest.
I was like,
that's the only part I know. But it is very like vibey. It's very like head bopping. So I had seen like a short clip from the video when they're like dancing. Mm-hmm. I'd seen it on Twitter. And somebody was basically just tweeting about the music video being out, and they were praising it and stuff like that. And then shortly thereafter, I started seeing more things on Twitter about people criticizing the music video. And they were criticizing it for having a lack of body diversity. Huh? So basically, the music video for Rush is very like sexualized. It's a lot of like sweaty bodies touching each other. Like there's dance bits in it and stuff like that, right? But people were criticizing it for having a lack of body diversity.
What the fuck?
I was immediately like, huh? Because Troye Sivan, he is gay. Yeah. And the music video does not shy away from that at all. It's a bunch of different kinds of people being all sweaty with each other and dancing and grooving and vibing, whatever. So it's a bunch of different kinds of people.
There were quite a few professional, like, clearly there were professional dancers in that video.
Yeah. And so the criticism that there wasn't a lot of, there was a lot of diversity in terms, to me, of like skin tone, and there were men and women there. Yeah. I'm sure there were some non-binary people. I don't know. But the criticism that there wasn't enough body diversity, I understand where it's coming from, because especially in the gay community, there are very like, there's a lot of pressure placed on gay men to look very like either super skinny or very like gym bro, like stacked, lots of muscles, like to look very either fit or super skinny and tiny. So I get where a little bit of that criticism could be coming from of like, we don't want to reinforce these stereotypes of just like really fit or really skinny people. So I get part of it. But the other part of it that I just don't quite get, that I think some of the criticism misses the mark on, is that this is art. Art is not made for everyone.
No.
Art is open to interpretation. But art is not meant to be everything to everyone. It is not meant to cater to the whims of the audience, right? It is made as an expression of both the artist, but also the director and the choreographer. Like, so I guess
I just literally am I'm like gathering thoughts of what I'm gonna reply, because I'm like, are you like, this is like clown behavior?
Yes, it is very. It's just dumb. To me, anyway. Like, again, I get where part of the criticism is coming from, but I think to say that, you know, it's they said a lack of body diversity, not just like he didn't have any fat people in the music video, but he also didn't have any disabled representation in the music video.
I think that at the end of the day, you physically cannot fit every type of person on this planet into one piece of art, especially a 3-minute long video. That is completely ridiculous, and to have that type of expectation is ridiculous. And I think that I don't think that this criticism has any merit whatsoever. I think it's literally, I'm not going to come from it from a place of understanding, because I think that while I could, and if I thought about it enough, maybe I would, but I think that it's truly one of those things where people just want to criticize and put themselves on a moral high horse, so they look like they have better morals than whoever, and it gives them validation as a person. Mm-hmm. And I think that the idea that you have to have enough short people, enough tall people, some disabled people, skinny people, fat people, in the middle people, missing a leg, amputees, however you want to describe body types, that is ridiculous. The music video is literally about sex. It's about, he goes, what is it? How does it go?
I feel the rush.
Addicted to your touch. Literally, it's about sex. It's about intimacy. It's about like physicality. So it's like the music video is not about, if you have a song about inclusion, then sure. So like, because sometimes like the song clearly has some sort of message it's trying to convey. So if it was like some politically charged song about body positivity, and you didn't have like anybody but like certain types in it, you're like, ma'am, sir. But this song is literally about like attraction. And he's allowed to represent the things he's attracted to in his own music video.
Yes.
And to say like it's reinforcing like stereotypes of gay men looking a certain way, he looks however he looks, and he's a gay man, and he's going to be attracted to whatever he's attracted to, and that is not a crime, and he can hire whoever he wants to look a certain way. Not everything is for everybody. If this truly offends you, go find somebody else that is having the representation that you say you're looking for, or better yet, get off your fucking ass and go make it yourself. That's just the end. To me, I'm sick of this virtue signaling shit where it's not enough diversity. Like, what is that? It's so lame.
I think that it's okay to want to see more representation on screen in all sorts of media. I get that. I get wanting to see people that you think look like you and you identify with in all sorts of media. I get it. I get wanting that. But I think, like you said, you need to seek out the kinds of artists and the kinds of people who are going to produce that content and support them, not bash someone else and someone else's art.
No, and it's just like,
I think I think that there's too much emphasis placed on like, cancel everyone who doesn't do what we say is the right way to do things.
Yeah. Versus
uplifting and supporting the people who do the things that you like.
Not to mention he's like a gay man who isn't as, an oppressed person in society, or has been, they're quote unquote not the norm. So he's already an artist with his own, like, how am I trying to word it? He's already got it a little rough. Mm-hmm. So it's like, so now it's also his responsibility to appease to it doesn't appease, like, okay, like Lizzo. She's a bigger woman. some of her songs are about that. And a lot of women feel empowered listening to that. And they love that. And that's good because you have somebody who believes in that, talking about that, and showcasing the things that you want. So why can't a gay man who just looks the way he looks represent the way he wants to represent and have whoever he wants in his music video? Why is it the fact that he's not, because clearly a lot of those guys were gay. Well, clearly, how do you know?
They were gay coded.
Yeah. So it's like, that's not enough representation. So a gay man has to represent everything else too? Or like does a bigger woman have to represent everything else too? Or a bigger man? Like that one part of your identity, like why do you have to represent everything? It's insane.
Oh, it's like the what do they call it? It's like there's a term for it. It's like the perfect minority type thing where it's like it's not enough. Just I've heard it done this way a lot, or talked about a lot among like the Asian and Asian American community, where it's like it's not enough just to be like Asian and be good. You have to be the best because it's like they put you on a pedestal. You have to be the golden. You have to be the example. You have to be perfect. I mean, same thing for even Black people in some instances where it's like it's not good enough just to be a normal person and happen to be part of this minority group. Yeah. It's you have to be the perfect example of that, because if you're not, you're letting down your entire community and you're and you're representing your entire community in a bad way. Yeah. In a negative way.
Yeah. And that's much responsibility is just insane. So that just blows my mind. Like that's insane. Music video was cool. I figured it was going to be like
that it was too sexual or something.
And I'm like, who cares?
I mean, it starts off with a booty cheek half exposed and somebody slapping it. So
yeah, they said,
I was like, oh, okay, this sets the tone. I know what to expect now. But so basically, so Troye Sivan is friends with Charlie XCX. And so she kind of posted a response-ish, like just thoughts about the backlash. And I'll put this up real quick and just kind of read you the highlights of it.
That's just so dumb to me. Something else that I saw that I thought was, so I told you one of my favorite sitcoms was How I Met Your Mother. And so I would rewatch the show recently, and clearly a lot of the jokes that they told back then wouldn't hit now, but like you take a look at something and when it was made, and it was what it was. So they redid that show, or they put it's called Now How I Met Your Father, and it stars Hilary Duff and
love her.
I love Hilary Duff, and it has
Francia something.
Yeah. And I read an article that was talking about the difference between How I Met Your Mother and How I Met Your Father, and one of the things was talking about how I Met Your Father is more diverse because it shows, because How I Met Your Mother was originally 4 characters, all white, but they represented different parts of I think of people living their lives a certain way. Like you had 2 characters that have been together since college. So you have that kind of relationship to explore. And you also have where before they get married, she's like, who am I outside of this relationship? Like a real actual thing people struggle with. You have the other girl in the group who doesn't want the normal way of life. She doesn't want to get married. She doesn't want to have kids. Then you have Ted, the hopeless romantic. It's 5 actually. Sorry. And then you have Barney, who's Neil Patrick Harris, who's like a womanizer type of a guy, right? So, but you have all these, but they all have deeper stories. And so diversity wise, yes, they're all white, but they all do have different stories they're telling that I do think is relatable. But they were talking about how in How I Met Your Father, they're like, it's more diverse. And that was just the first word they say. And then they name every type of character there is. Like there's a gay character, and then there's multiple different races from my understanding. And then they're going into and it's so important and this and this and that. And it comes off so like, but my question was, is the show good? I don't let's just be fucking real. Is the show good? I haven't watched it, so I couldn't say, because in a way I was already kind of salty. Cause I mean, How I Met Your Mother is in my top 5 sitcoms of probably any show of all time. It's a good show. It is not like any sitcom you've ever watched in your life. The storytelling in that is so unique that even if you don't like sitcoms, that show's brought me to tears before. And it does have a laugh track. But it's just so good.
I think that diversity becomes pandering when you're only having a character that checks one of these boxes just for the sake of it, right?
Yeah.
So the point of having diversity on screen and on camera is you know, what's the point of having a gay character? It's so that that character can show different. Oh, my voice cracked.
It did.
So that character can show a different aspect of living life from that viewpoint, right? Yeah. And I'm not saying that that has to be, you know, just because the character is gay doesn't mean they have to have a gay storyline and everything is gay, 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 gay. It's just, this is a person who is gay. This is how they live their life. And sometimes it affects them, right? Same thing if they are Black or Hispanic or if they are disabled. It's a different, like, true representation isn't just like, do you see them on screen? It's the stories that are being told based on those, like, characteristics.
Yeah, because I'm like, even like, because like even though they're all white, they all had different stories that were told. You had Barney, the womanizer character, who anybody could be, you know, go through one. You figured out kind of why he was like that. You figured out his backstory, and then he falls in love, and you see this character progression, and you see this like at odds with himself type of a character he is. And it is a comedy, so I mean, it can only get so deep. But even then, it's like, I think that I do truly believe shows used to be better when we didn't focus so much on, did I check all the boxes off? Because you're not telling stories that you know how to tell and that are actually authentic to you as the creator or the writer. So I think that if you have, I think that that's a sad thing people have to even consider when they're creating something, because I think then it's just not authentic and the story's not as good and it just falls flat.
Well, it's
like, I don't want the gay character. Like, to me, when the gay character is like, hey, I'm gay, every 2 seconds, somehow, some way, or you're the LGBTQ character, however they're representing within that type of show or media or whatever, when that's like the focus of their identity the entire time, it's a turnoff to anybody, because you're like, this is just a characteristic of this person. What's their story, though? Mm-hmm. And they don't want to go beyond that. It's like they just want to go, but look, I'm including, and I'm inclusive.
You know what that says? It says to me that when you see something like that, they don't have somebody in the writer's room who knows how to tell that particular character's story.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a case of like, I mean, if you've heard it time and again, that diversity on screen is the bare minimum in terms of like, that's not really what matters. What actually matters is diversity in like the writer's room. It's diversity behind the camera. It's diversity in like among producers and people who actually greenlight movies. And like, it doesn't matter if your character is gay or Black or Hispanic on screen. If you don't have a gay or Black or Hispanic person tell it in the writer's room, helping to tell that story, because like you said, you tell this, you know how to tell certain stories because you have experienced them, or you consult with people who have experienced it and they can help guide the way that you like develop a character, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't have those people in the writer's room, then it doesn't matter what they look like on screen, because it's going to come across as not authentic and it's not relatable.
No. And so, I mean, it's not enough to just constantly be like, they're gay. They're gay. Make them say something that they're gay, or make them say something that they're trans, make them say something that they're different. That's lame as fuck. Like, nobody wants to hear that shit. But it's just, I want to see if the character is gay or is trans or is whatever, I don't need to hear about it every episode. I want to see their story. Where's their boyfriend or their girlfriend or and not every story has to be like the coming out story. There was a bunch of criticism, you know, where it was like anytime there was like a Black character for a while, it was always like the struggle of being Black. And like a lot of Black people were criticizing it because they're like, that's not every story. And I'm like, that's like the Hollywood narrative. And
I've seen a lot of people like in the last couple of years talking about how like they're tired of like quote unquote Black movies being made, and they're all about Black trauma.
Yeah.
Like it's all about Black people suffering.
Yeah.
You know, and there are like so many movies that are like, where's the movies about Black joy and happiness and like the rom-coms and the like.
Because I do think that sometimes, and I guess it's like, because I just feel like if you're trying to tell a story that is, you know, some of the story it does have to do with their identity. So, you know, if you're telling a story and you're like, the character does need to be gay, or they do need to be this because that is the story you're trying to tell. That's different than just like in How I Met Your Mother, Barney could have been Black. He had a Black brother who was the exact same way as him. So it's like that guy could have played Barney. The show would have been the exact same. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't have been different. Casting didn't matter. And I think that's true too. I do think that not every story or not every character, because they're Black or gay or trans or Hispanic or Asian or whatever, that doesn't have to be their whole identity. Like, I do think there are shows that could just, that person could have been Asian. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if they're, what color they were or what, or ethnicity or whatever.
Yeah, it's not like the focal point, but what makes it good writing is that at some point in their story arc, at some point in an episode or whatever, something is gonna happen where their identity influences the way that they handle a situation or the way they react to something or the way that they perceive something.
Well, yeah,
but I mean, that's with anyone.
Yeah.
Like, you know, my identity, my background, your identity, your background, the way we respond to things is going to be different based on that, right?
Yeah.
So it only makes sense that somebody who is, you know, Black and has lived a different experience has a different reaction to certain things.
Yeah.
But that's not every single thing.
Exactly.
You know? And it's also a case of like, again, it's having someone in the writer's room who has lived that experience or knows of it and is familiar with it to help tell that story, because then they can tell you, their being Black has no effect on how they would experience this particular scenario versus situations in which it would. And they can be like, actually, to make this more realistic or true to life, like, this is kind of how this would probably play out. And that's like, it's like nuanced. Yeah. You know, it doesn't have to be, I feel like people get too far one extreme or the other.
And I mean, I feel like it's like, I don't know, I feel like literally white people have created all this whole, like, they want to be like, no, I'm an ally. I'm an ally, not me. I'm an ally. I'm perfect. And I have to tear other people down in order to show you I'm better. And I'm an ally. It's just like, it's so weird. But what did Charlie say?
So Charlie XCX.
Didn't we see her?
Yes. At the Reputation.
Yo, I actually have like a few songs that she played after we left. I was like, I don't want to go to school. She was so cool performing that. And I was like, I fucked with that song afterwards.
So she tweeted a couple things, and she also put some stuff on like Instagram too. But she said, I feel like we live in a world where audiences feel like expression or art isn't worth their time unless it appeases every single unspoken requirement. It is so boring. If something breaks common aesthetics, it's weird or try hard. If something conforms, it's offensive and not diverse enough. What a boring discourse. And then someone said, someone had tweeted, it's not really unspoken, isn't it? The lack of body diversity in music videos about eroticism has always been criticized. Makes you think, what was the casting criteria for those videos and what are you pushing as an artist? And then Charlie quote tweeted that and said, actually, Sam Smith has made a load of great music videos / performances that play with the topics of eroticism and sex and sexiness with very diverse casting, and they have been heavily criticized for doing so. So basically what I'm saying is no one can ever successfully make art for everyone in this current world, nor should they try to.
I agree. She's 100% right.
Yes. And then when Troye Sivan got, like, I guess, wind of the criticism and stuff of the music video, he said, to be honest, and he's responding to criticism over the lack of body diversity in the music video. He said, to be honest, it just wasn't a thought we had. We obviously weren't saying, quote, we want to have one specific type of person in the video. We just made the video and there wasn't a ton of thought put behind that.
I think literally, so if I was him, I wouldn't have even replied. I wouldn't have said shit, because the fact of the matter is people were cast that they felt were attractive. That's the end of the discussion. That's it. And whoever hears that statement, if they get offended, I didn't say anything negative about anybody. I just said people that the casting directors or maybe Troy found attractive, that's who got cast.
Not everybody finds everybody else attractive. And that's okay.
Like, literally, like, why? You can't force someone to be attracted to you.
Nope.
That's weird.
You can't shame them into being attracted to you either.
No, it's just bizarre.
And be like, you're, whatever phobic if you're not attracted to people that look like XYZ. And it's like, nah.
Like, okay, how do you know people that, the body diversity people you have, how do you know they even showed up to the casting call if they were invited? Like, you don't, like, I don't know what the casting sheet looked like, but it's like, how do you know that maybe they just didn't show up? I mean, I don't know what agencies have, whatever. Clearly, there were a lot of professional dancers, so some professional dancers with agents were clearly reached out to, or agencies were reached out to. And if they don't have any, the body diversity that the whoever and their mama's complaining about, that's still not Troy's fault, because what the fuck? Like, does he need to reach out to every single agent in the entire world?
I guess some people could say or give some pushback saying that, well, he's saying not a lot of thought was put into it. Like they just kind of did it. And some people could give pushback saying, well, you know, you should put more thought into being conscious of those sorts of things when you're making music videos or whatever project you're working on.
Yeah.
But I would give pushback against that because it's like, okay, well, maybe they did. So if they did give conscious thought to, do we want to have body diversity in this video or not? What if the answer is no?
What if the answer is I want people that I want to fuck in the video? What if there's people? What if the answer is literally this is a music video
about people looking hot and what we find hot
and what I find hot? I'm the artist. I made the song, and if I'm saying this is what I find attractive, this is what I find attractive, and I can cast whoever the fuck I want in my video, and you're not going to shame me into being attracted to you. That's inauthentic, and that's who wants that? Don't you want to follow people that are generally attracted to you, or like follow? Like that's ridiculous. Like you want to bully people into liking you or so it's like there's no way to win that because like you said his response is there wasn't a lot of thought, and the truth is I don't believe that. I think that he knew what he wanted, which is fine.
I think there is a lot of I think what he meant was more so like they weren't consciously trying to exclude certain bodies,
yes, exactly.
but they knew what they wanted.
Well, yes, I think both can exist. I think that it wasn't that they were trying to exclude anybody.
We were just only including this particular type of people
because that's who we wanted.
This is the look we were going for,
and that's okay. That's literally okay. And I think that it's too far. People have lost their fucking minds. But so, trying to segueing into one of the other topics,
more representation.
So yeah, I guess we'll just hop into Snow White.
Yeah.
So. Put my little iPad up.
I'm like vaguely aware of this. I know when Disney announced that they were going to do like a live action Snow White. I know Peter Dinklage, who has dwarfism, he
criticized
it basically. But his criticism was more coming from the perspective of like,
I have his quotes here.
Okay. Yeah.
So
like read the quote so I don't fuck it up.
So this is from IndieWire. Let's see here. During a conversation regarding Disney's upcoming live-action remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Dinklage praised Disney for casting a Latina actress as Snow White, but condemned them for continuing to present what he believed were outdated stereotypes. And he goes on to say, literally no offense to anything, but I was sort of taken aback, he said. They were very, very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White, but you're still telling the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Take a step back and look at what you're doing there. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that fucking backward story about seven dwarves living in a cave together. Have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough. So the day of the interview's publication, Disney stated that it wanted to consult with members of the dwarfism community on the film. A day later, the studio changed tactics. It would change the dwarves' characters to magical creatures created with CGI. And that's where the real trouble has like kind of began. So
instead of employing actual like little people to play these characters and which puts them to work, it gives them jobs.
Working actors.
Yes. So instead of having working actors and people from that community to play these roles and consulting with them to help develop these roles in a way that
they want to be represented in a way that is acceptable.
Yeah, that doesn't conform to these stereotypes he's talking about. So instead of doing that, like the right way to handle the situation, they said, we're just not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole at all.
Yeah, pretty much. Even so, that's IndieWire. So another man with dwarfism, his name is Wee Man, and he's from Jackass. That's why I had brought up Jackass earlier. He has criticized Disney for not casting little people in Snow White because he basically feels like, why are you taking jobs away from little people?
Because there's not, at this point, just realistically, there's not a ton of roles that little people are playing in Hollywood or in movies and films outside of some of these like stereotypical roles like Snow White and Seven Dwarfs.
So he also, interesting. I didn't even know about this because Wee Man goes on to another movie that I didn't even realize there was any controversy around. So this comes from Outkick, and I believe this is from, I think TMZ gathered this footage, and they kind of typed it out because I didn't want to watch the video. So on set, photos revealed the seven dwarves are now just a bunch of tall ass people.
They're like normal sized people.
They're like normal sized people, but they're diverse. but they're diverse, normal people. Normal, not saying you people that have dwarfism aren't normal. I'm just saying average height people have. What is the correct way to say that?
I don't know.
People without dwarfism.
You just had a small panic
Because
attack.
literally, it's like you can just like that's like the kind of shit that's annoying. That's the only thing about like being on camera and talking about stuff that freaks me out. Because I know what my intention is, but everybody like I feel like I don't want this to ever go viral for the wrong reason of like something I say that's like, oh, she said people with dwarfism aren't normal. I'm like, that's not what I meant, but fuck off. Anyway, so Wee Man says it's a bad thing. Wee Man told TMZ. I'm not agreeing with it. One, because what they're doing is pretty much replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. It's for dwarves. Then he then mentioned how the trailer for the new movie Wonka features Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa. So I guess Hugh Grant,
like
you're
CGI,
now,
yeah. I saw it. I was like, ugh.
He said, you're now identifying as a little person? Interesting. And so, he goes, that is interesting, seeing how IMDb lists Hugh Grant at around 5'10". That's not a little person by any conceivable metric. Wee Man also said that he agreed with Peter Dinklage that roles like the Seven Dwarfs tube cast little people. However, seeing as this situation didn't directly affect him, he said that he was the reason he didn't speak like out on it. At least not until TMZ shoved a camera in front of him and asked him. This is Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, he says, not Snow White and the Seven Average People. That's why. That if that's what they're going to do, then I guess they're going to have a lot of people angry at them. So his response was kind of just like, what the fuck? So him and Peter seem to just have different. And from Peter, what his statements were, I think he's a great actor. I really, really do. I think he's super fucking like really good. I think that I could understand where his comments are coming from, but I also think that like if you don't know anything of the production, I don't know that those statements were even fair to say at first. Of like you're assuming that the movie's going to be talking about stereotypes. I mean, The Hobbit also has dwarfs, and they weren't. I don't think a lot of those people actually had dwarfism or anything, but like a dwarf literally is a like magical race, like an elf. So, and a lot of little people can play dwarves without having to use CGI, without having to do all these things. So it's like, I don't know why there was so much offense at first, to be honest, because you don't really even know what the story was going to be or what the script was. And it feels like it felt like an emotional reaction because I mean, to be honest, I'm sure as like someone with dwarfism, you're probably used to there always being like you're the joke somehow. So it's probably like an emotional response because I'm sure he's read so many scripts that just got it wrong. And you know, it's probably an emotional response of like, here we fucking go again. Like how many, and I'm sure that's probably where that came from, which is valid. But Disney's just like, cancel the little people, cancel dwarfs. It doesn't make any sense. Like you're literally, and then Piers Morgan, you know who he is, right? So he had a guy with dwarfism on his show. I think they were all remote. And then he also had this woke guy on his show. And the woke guy was arguing with Piers Morgan. And Piers Morgan was like, why are you... He goes, now everyone's saying, I don't agree with this. But gay people need to play gay people. Trans people need to play trans. Basically, like, or Latina people need to play Latina people. You know, basically, like, if you're not this thing, you can't play it. Which he goes, I don't agree with. But now... dwarves can't play people, or people with dwarfism can't play dwarves? Little people can't play little people? That doesn't even go with your logic. Yeah. And then the guy is like, no, me. And then the guy with dwarfism is like, no, you're wrong. Like, what do you think it means to me? And then, of course, the guy, he's so woke, he doesn't want to say anything negative to the guy with dwarfism. He goes, it means whatever you want it to mean, which is the lamest. I hate that. It means whatever you want. It's a cop-out. It means whatever you want. It's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is stupid as fuck. Like, literally, how is this real life? How is this real life? It's lazy as fuck. And I don't give a fuck that Snow White is a Latina girl. I'm not gonna lie. Snow White was my least favorite princess anyway.
Kind of boring.
Which maybe they'll
like the Snow White cartoon. Snow White, I think, was the first.
It was the first full length
cartoon animated like feature length. Yep. From Disney that it was put out in like the 40s or 50s.
50s, I think.
And she's my least favorite Disney princess because she's boring. She didn't do shit. I'm like, I need a Jasmine. I need her to wear like a crop top and have a tiger for a pet.
I liked that.
And be like, fuck you, thief. I'm gonna do my own thing.
I like that. And I
Like-
like Beauty and the Beast. That one was fun.
I like Ariel because she's like, I'm not a child, daddy. I'm gonna go run off at 14 years old and go marry this prince.
away. And I'm like, no, ma'am, no, you're not. Get your ass back in your house, little bitch. What's funny though is I don't understand why we're going through this whole thing of like it's just lazy storytelling, because what people are doing is they're looking at like these movies from back in the day and they're like, let's retell this story in a modern way that is like also virtue signaling. That's what it is. You know, somebody who I think has retold a story, but they did it in such a unique way was Maleficent, because that's Sleeping Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Maleficent is one of my favorite. It is such a good movie because it's telling this story in a completely different way.
From the perspective of the quote unquote villain.
Yeah, but it's just amazing. Like I literally love that movie so much. And it's just like
we've gotten to the point where, which we talked about before, you and I, about how there's studios aren't interested now, it seems, in putting out original stuff or original stories.
No.
Everything is a remake or it's a sequel or it's a reboot, but it's never quite that unique, right? Which is why Maleficent is so interesting and good, is because it's not just a live action remake. It is telling the story in a unique way from a different perspective that the audience hasn't seen before.
Yeah.
I mean, so many audiences so many studios are afraid to put out original stuff because they think audiences won't respond or won't support it or won't like it. But you look at the Barbie movie and Oppenheimer that are on track to have like the biggest opening weekends of the year so far.
Literally the movies to the, like when I was, I went and got my Red Bull and it's right next to Walgreens. The movie theater it's packed.
Mm-hmm.
And I love seeing that shit, man. I was like, fuck, this is the second, or this is the opening weekend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's packed. It's fucking awesome, man. It's so fucking cool.
You know what? My mom rarely ever goes to the theater. Like, she goes about as often as I go. The last time we went to the theater, I'm pretty sure it was she and I went to go see Top Gun Maverick, right? So she took my little sister on Thursday afternoon to go see Barbie. She never goes to the movies, but it was a thing. Like, it's like a whole, like, they both wanted to go see it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that movie got them to go to the theater, and they hardly ever go to the movies.
Yeah.
So I'm like, clearly, original scripts, original storytelling is what we want.
Yeah.
Literally, the audience is telling you what we want, and studios are like, I don't think you really
That's
want
why
that.
even the Jennifer Lawrence movie, I'm pretty sure that did decent. I didn't see it yet.
I wanted to see it.
I wanted to see it.
I thought the trailer looked funny.
I've literally just been super busy to where we haven't been able to go. But I'm like, I'm sick of the political virtue, social justice warrior shit in my stuff all the time. Like, not everything has to be a statement. Not everything has to be a, wow, they really hit the mark in this thing or that thing of like whatever's going on in the world. Like, I'm so like, I want to escape. I want to watch a movie and I want to escape and I want to enjoy it.
I think people lose sight of the fact that wanting more inclusivity, wanting more diversity, it's not about, for me at least, it's not purely about representation. It's about what is going to make it, like, the story the best that it can be and the most interesting, right? Sometimes you get real tired of watching the same exact movie from the same exact perspective over and over and over again. Sometimes that's what you want. Sometimes it just hits the spot, Other times it's like, give me something different.
Yeah.
And in order to get something different, you have to hear about experiences from other people's perspectives and situations you haven't been in before. And sometimes that comes in the form of diversity. But it's not like a forced thing. It's a very natural, I think if the goal of diversity is, whether it's in the writing room, on screen, behind the camera, production, whatever, the goal of it should be, is this going to make whatever the work is better? Is it going to make a good story? Is it going to make a good film, music video, whatever it is? And is it going to make it better? Because if it's not, then you're doing it for pandering's sake, and there's no point in doing it.
No, it's not real.
It's just dumb. It's exactly.
Like, even like with some all female casts. Travis had watched, and I haven't watched it yet, and I know it's like an iconic movie. It's Girl Interrupted. has Angelina Jolie, Winona Ryder, and Brittany Murphy in. It's from the 90s. And it's like a really like kind of a cult classic type of a movie. And when he got done watching it, we were talking about how it's like an all-female cast, all this stuff. And it just was. And it just, it just told their stories. And when you tell just their story, you don't have to explain to the audience that this is the experience of a woman who goes through this one experience you don't have to even explain that because they can clearly see that's what it is. So it's the fact that people want to tell stories now, but also we've walked away from show, don't tell.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's tell. Look at that. Look, do you see that? It's just like, you can just tell. That's what turns people off. That's like female Ghostbusters, female Ocean's whatever movie it was. It was like
Ocean's 8.
Those were all just done because of the climate that we were in at the time, and it didn't do well. They didn't do well.
If you're going to do a heist movie and all the thieves and people involved in the heist happen to be women, just tell that story and make it good. What type of heist would women pull? How would they plan it? How is it different from
Jennifer
how a man
Lawrence
does it?
Do a sort of some similar movie that had didn't have Cardi B, and I'm not saying it was a heist, but there was like a group of women type of a story, and it was based off some like actual stuff.
There's Hustler.
Was that what it was?
Hustle.
Yeah,
it's Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
Not Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lopez, Cardi B. There's the woman who was in Crazy Rich Asians. She was the lead in that.
Lily Ryan. She's from Riverdale.
Lily, yes.
I always fuck up her last name.
Reinhardt?
Is that how you say it?
I don't know.
But yeah, so
she's in it. Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't see that movie.
I did. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
I'm just like, just tell a story.
But it's like women conning men out of money, like pulling, like they start to run like their own like basically a way of like stealing money from affluent men.
Yeah. Bad Moms. I think the first Bad Moms was funny. I haven't seen this. I think there's a second one. I haven't seen it because it's like when you just tell the story, just have fun with the script and tell the story. You don't make it such a nail in it, like hit the nail on the head over and over and over again. Like, I'm not stupid. I can see what I know what I'm going to see. Just be quiet.
And see, I love heist movies. Like that's one of my favorite genres. Like I've watched all of the Ocean's movies many times.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen Ocean's 8.
You're just like, no, I don't want it.
But I mean, partially it's because when you watch, Ocean's 11 for the first time, it's like, it's just so good. George Clooney, Brad Pitt.
Yum. You're like, also, they're attractive.
Well, no, but I mean, also just like the characters are really interesting and the way they kind of like do the things that they do. Again, it's a case of like, they're not overly explaining.
Yeah.
Like what's going on or how they move about in the world. They just do. And then you have to get on board and go with it,
Yeah.
And they're very fast talkers in that. They're like, and you're like, wait, what? Huh? I don't understand what's happening.
I need my subtitles.
Yeah. All the time.
Yeah. I just am over it. And I think enough people are getting over it. Like right now, I mean, everything's paused anyway, like production wise because of the strikes. I don't anticipate this. No, I could see them just redoing it again. Because it's actually stupid.
Oh, I don't, speaking of the strikes, I don't know if this is true. I read it on Twitter, so surely it is. But they said that A24, the studio, is one of the few that the what is it? The
production companies?
No, the people on strike. They're allowed to work with, basically.
SAG?
Yeah.
Or the writers inside?
I think it's the writers and the actors. They're allowed to work with that production company because they agreed to all the...
But they're independent.
But they also agreed to all their terms.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like a lot of these companies are not... A24, from my understanding, is independent companies. So, they can just agree. So they're not a struck company.
Yeah, they're not one of the like big studios that are being...
Which is really cool because A24 has some of the most interesting movies.
Everything that they've put out has been like hit, banger, people love it because they're putting out interesting things and they're putting out original work.
Yeah, exactly. They're not just
people like it.
Yeah, that's why that always does well. So it's just like, listen.
And they're always so talked about.
Yeah.
All online.
Oh yeah, they always like if they put something out, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna see that.
It's must see entertainment at this point, anything that they do.
Yeah.
Which I find to be interesting for a production company because usually must see movies or TV or whatever, you would line that more with a specific director or a specific actor or actress. You don't necessarily say that a studio is putting out must see.
Yeah, I think they're very unique in that way because it's like seeing. Clearly, they have standards, and they're since they're independent, they like this is what we want to hit the mark on.
They can be very selective.
Yes,
and they have been very good at choosing things that they do.
And what's good is they've clearly been able to be successful enough to be able to have enough money to, one, agree to the terms, and two, just really stay independent and not like be bought out or do this, that, and the third. And I'm like, good. That's like really cool. So on a lighter note, I don't know. I don't know if you watched the video or not of Miranda Lambert, who she had a residency in Vegas, and she's going to sing her song Tin Man. I don't know if you've heard that song.
I think so.
I've heard it. And so she goes to start singing, and then she stops singing, and then she calls out some fans that were taking like pictures or selfie. They were like right in the front row. They were in VIP, and I'll read her. I watched the video, and this is what she says. These girls are worried about she goes, at first she says, hold on, I'm sorry. I think she stops and she like apologizes to the band, I guess. And she goes, these girls are worried about their selfie, not listening to the song, Lambert says in the video. It's pissing me off a little bit. Then the crowd cheers and she starts the song again. But she also, I thought she said something like this. So here's the picture. That's the picture. And they took it so she could be in the background.
Yeah. While she's on stage, which you can only do while she's standing there at the microphone. Yeah. Right there.
So they're in VIP, so you're well aware that they paid a lot of money. They paid lots of money. And I'm pretty sure she said, here, sing some country music. So a lot of people criticized her for it because it's like, why would you do that? Like, why would you? The only thing I could see that maybe, I think it looks like the flash was on. Now, if that's the case, I believe the correct response is to go, hey, guy, hey, hold on. Like, maybe tell them, hey, I'm going to start the song over. Hey, if anyone wants to take pictures, that's totally fine. But please make sure your flash is off because it's distracting to me. And it's distracting to the people around you. And I want to make sure everybody here has the best show possible. So
there's a way to handle that situation. If it was truly about the flash, she would have said that.
That's what I was thinking.
She was bothered.
Well, that's what everybody's trying. So, you know, all the stands are like, y'all are criticizing Miranda and going off about it. And they're trying to say it's because of the flash. I'm like, then why didn't she say that?
Yeah. Because it wasn't about that. She said, don't put words in her mouth. She said, I'm a little pissed off that they're not listening. They're not paying attention to me.
That's what she said. Literally, that's what she said.
When they were in the process of trying to get a photo with you.
Like, and then it's insane because all these people will stitch that video with a bunch of other artists that'll be on stage and then they'll see it and they'll take the picture, all this kind of stuff.
Okay, there's a couple things. One, if I'm paying money to go see an artist and I want to take a photo of myself with them or the stage in the background, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And you as an artist do not get to criticize me as a fan for doing that because it's part of the experience of going to a concert. It's part of what you do because I want to get photos to commemorate this great thing because I love you and your music and I'm having a good time. It's a great experience, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is that I'm about tired of some artists. I think it's such a bad look that for an artist to call attention to someone in the audience doing something, unless they're doing something unsafe, unless they see a situation in something violent, pushing, whatever, a medical episode, obviously call attention to that. Yeah. Like when Taylor Swift called out the guard the security
who was being an asshole
to some of her fans, and she's like, they're not doing anything, leave them alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. If someone needs medical attention, please, by all means, call attention to that.
Yeah.
But to call out some sort, unless a fan is being violent or is being like ruining someone else's experience, right? So if people are holding up signs and obstructing people's views, and they're not supposed to, maybe you say something. If people are like being rowdy or whatever, maybe you say something. If, but people standing up and taking a photo,
no,
don't call that out. If people are singing along to what you're singing, don't call that out because all you're doing is inviting the rest of the audience and all the people online who are going to know that this happened because everyone's recording you. All you're doing is inviting people to harass those fans.
Yep.
Like, because I think that happened with Hayley Williams. Paramore, they were doing a show and she called out basically kicked a fan out of the show, out of the audience because they were doing something or saying something. I don't know exactly what it was, but she kicked them out and basically called him an asshole. And then she apologized for it after the fact. She was like, it was just in the moment. She felt like good about doing that. But then reflecting on it after the fact, she's like, I really wish I wouldn't have. Like, there was a better way to handle that. And now that fan is like, I'm ruined for them now. Like, our music and like, for what?
Yeah, no, I'm like, so literally these women spent how much money to see you? And clearly you must be one of their favorite artists if they're in the very first row of this VIP section. And they were so excited to be able to get a picture with you in the background. And I don't know if maybe they were related, if they're all just friends. The ages of those women kind of like span. It wasn't just like all 20-year-olds or all whatever. So, I mean, you had like some 20-year-olds, I think, along with like some 50, 60-year-olds. So, and like, I don't know what that group was. But you're ruining their moment. They clearly all bond over liking you or loving your music, must be huge fans. And then you just ruined that for them. You had the whole crowd also like kind of shit on them and just shit on the entire experience. Like, what stick is up your ass? This is also the same one who at one point her crowd at a different show they had like a beach ball. She eventually, it literally gets on stage and then she literally pops it. And she's like, I'm here to sing. We ain't at the beach, y'all. I'm here to sing some damn country music.
I mean, I get if like you're concerned about projectile, objects being thrown at you or landing on the stage, because that can be dangerous. And there have been like a string of incidents recently. I don't know if you've seen where a lot of artists performing have had things thrown at them.
Oh yeah, baby Rexa had that cell phone thrown at her head. But bro,
she got a black eye.
A cell phone in a beach ball. I mean, I feel like a cell phone, like duh.
But like, I mean, think about it, if you're walking down a catwalk or on the side of a stage and then a beach ball comes flying at you and you don't see it and it hits you, or like you flinch or step wrong.
It's
and,
an
like,
inflatable beach ball. It's not like a fucking volleyball. It's literally the kind that you could just tap like this. It's the lightest thing ever. Like, I'm just saying, someone got to be a strong bitch to fucking hurt you with a beat. But I mean, even in the air,
I'm literally but the thing is, even if it just startles you and you step wrong, you could hurt yourself and fall off. Like, these people are like very high up on these stages. So like, I get that. I get if it's like a security concern, I would understand that. But people taking photos, like, chill out.
I just am like, okay, so you just don't like. No, I feel like she's just mad if anybody does anything that's not like, you're not looking at me. I clearly don't know.
That's what it comes across as. It comes across as like, you're not paying attention to me and I'm upset. So
I'm like, bro, why are you so mad, man? Like, I get maybe, okay, and here's the thing. Sure, I'm not saying that you're wrong for being annoyed. I'm sure, in a way you're singing this intimate song. I think it's one of the last songs of the set. And then when you're singing, and I know crowd reaction is important to an artist. So yeah, seeing a bunch of people turn their back to you right up front, I'm sure is like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, in your head. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you have to say shit. I mean, you can't help how your thoughts might happen. It might be, but like,
as a professional entertainer who has been in this business for as long as she has and has done as many shows as she has.
Yeah.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Suck it up. Yeah, it was just
like, you
so
can
extra.
Ignore them. And if you want that validation and attention and you want to connect and get that audience feedback, don't focus on them. Focus on the other people who are giving you what you want.
I just don't get why, if I saw that, I'd be like, am I on the shot? I'd be like, everybody hold on. Am I on the shot? Am I on the shot? Okay. Okay, cool. All right, let's get, sorry. I saw a picture. Just make it, make it fun.
In this moment, you're not endearing yourself to people. You look like an asshole.
Yeah, you just kind of look stuck up. Not into it. And I'm like, I mean, she's I don't really listen to a lot of country music, so I'm not going to be like, I love her.
Well, I'm sure that the people who are true, legitimate fans of her, really, they're like, they'll forgive anything.
Well, they probably are like, that's Miranda.
Yeah, like it doesn't bother them. They're not going to like not be her fans because of this. But people who are casual fans who are new to your music or who haven't really been into you before, they're definitely not now because they think you're an asshole. And people don't want to support people that they think are assholes.
No, not unless like you're just, that's their persona and you think that's funny or something. So,
but even then, usually it's because you think that you're in on the joke.
Yes, exactly.
And you're on their side and you think it's funny.
Yeah.
It's not like, I don't want to support someone who I think is an asshole to me or to people like me.
Exactly. Yeah. Where you're just like, you're just kind of a dick.
Yes.
So that was a whole thing. And I don't know. People are crazy, man. So yeah, that's pretty much the vibe. It was really funny to see other artists and how they respond to stuff like that, though. Ooh. There's that thunder.
Do you know what I just realized?
What?
I never said. And we're live.
That's okay.
I'm Anna.
I'm Jessica, and the episode's now over. So, bye. No, so, yeah, this is still the vibe. I need to move. We'll have some set stuff we got to do. Paint some stuff. Because I did look, you could see some stuff a little bit.
Touch up some of our paint that got
Yeah,
scraped.
just a little bit. But anyway.
I don't know what that voice was.
Just a little bit. That's creepy. So, okay, guys. So I guess that's it. Make sure to follow us on all of the things. No.
All of our platforms. I don't really use Twitter that much anymore.
What, are you on Threads now?
No. Nothing's really going on Twitter right now.
Twitter's like, it's like a fire.
It's not giving us anything. So,
Yeah.
But you can follow us at Waypod, WAYYPOD on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Mm-hmm. There's a pretty
subscribe if you're not already subscribed. We're video on YouTube and then audio on Spotify
and everywhere else.
Everywhere.
Pretty much anywhere you could think.
Like, let me just list them all alphabetically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. We will talk to you guys and talk at you guys. You guys, whoever. Anyway, we'll see you later.
Bye. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Turn on notifications to make sure you don't miss any future uploads. Talk at you next time. Bye.